Hey everyone, how you doing today? Thought I'd get kind of a little bit of a later video out showing you an update on the Skaar Carrier. I meant to do it earlier, but some things came up. But I have been working on it a fair amount over the last bit, and it's getting closer to complete. It's not quite there yet. But to start with here, I did kind of finish off the farm sections. Sections as in plural now. I did put a dividing wall between the main farm and the Pentaxid area. So the main farm is over here. The only real thing I'm planning on doing to this yet is probably adding some kind of LCD for the grow light switches. Not because anybody can't figure out what these switches are for, but it could add a little bit more detail. And I pretty much only have to make one LCD and can copy and paste that a whole bunch of times. So it's not a big deal either. So over here we've got the Pentaxid farm, and this one here I decided to do in kind of a purple tone. I didn't want it like the Creel shade, but it just, it's Pentaxid. I was trying to make it match the Pentaxid a little bit and add a little bit of variety into the farming section of the ship. So all in all, you've got, I think, if I remember correctly, it was 334 total grow plot locations in here. So that would be pretty much its farming section. Fairly big farming section on the ship. So beyond that, I've been pretty much working on this entire other side of the ship, and I've got a corner to do yet. Not a very big area, though. Most of it's done now. So up here on this upper hallway, this goes past a gravity generator, and I did install all the gravity generators in the ship now as well. We have a location for a fusion reactor, 4 large shield parts over here. Currently, I've got all the parts installed, but I will remove some. There's kind of an extra little spot over here for another medium shield part, but it has many other locations for those as well. A couple extra large generators over here. And then it has like an access bay on this room to get to it. I do want to tweak this little room space out a little bit more, so that is kind of on the plan. Got another new room over here. This is a place for the engineers on this side of the ship to take a break, but it also holds a couple small shield parts, offline protection. There's another gravity generator right below there, connecting to the some of the rooms below, hallways and rooms below this area, and the whole thing ties together now. So this when you come through here all the way down that ship, it gets out over to this section, which goes past the gladiator pit and the jail and connects to the shops and everything else, kind of going down the main part of the ship, I guess you could say. Let me get down a floor. And the area that I don't have done on this side of the ship is this front area over here. I started working on it some, but it's not quite done yet. Hopefully that doesn't take a long time. But I got this chunk right here and this chunk right here. And this is all going to be just some crew rooms and stuff like that. Not too much going on there. There's a whole other substructure below the hallway that I was up prior. Down over here that goes past all kinds of stuff. There's another floor below and another floor below, above, and I did get all these areas kind of finished up. Just a lot of places, but a couple more medium shield parts over here. Then there's a larger upgrade room over here. This has got 6 more small shield parts and those 2 medium shield parts back over there, and those generators that you can kind of access from the floor above. And I cleaned up this hallway going along the lower side of all these shield parts and tied that into this front area and kind of got all this kind of worked out right now. So yeah, it's definitely getting there. What is left, obviously, that front corner over there, and then the cafeteria in the back. Let me get to one of these hallways here. This room here I got to do up yet. I decided to change my mind a little bit. The cafeteria is going to stop at this wall here, and then what I'm going to do, I did copy and paste some of the storage over here across this section, but I think I'm going to get rid of one of these at least, and then build in some 320K storage bays, using a lot of the neighboring blocks in this area, but I don't want to go to 640K because I don't want to have to redo it when I do the vanilla version. And then probably put in some locations for additional constructors, deconstructors, that kind of thing, and basically a secondary production room. So you got your main one, which is right off from the main elevator to get to all the ship functions, but this will be like another place that you can do a bunch of production at. And we'll see how much I fit in here. I'm not exactly sure yet, but it's got a little bit of space, especially if I get rid of one of these contraptions over here. These are just 320K storage bays that I can copy and paste. They don't involve any blocks besides the formation you see there. So they're easy to copy around. I could paste them in all kinds of ships if I wanted to that had room for it. But so there's that rear area, that front corner, and then there is the captain's quarters, which is going to be out in this section, 2-story room he's getting, and the bridge. Beyond that, there's 3 more rooms yet. I think. Yeah, this one here, this is a shop that I have not put the interior in yet. Got to figure out what I'm gonna do with this shop, and then the one next to it, same situation. But everything around the shops, off the back side, all those other hallways and things over here is all complete already. So that is really just about it on what's left to do on the interior. So I'm feeling a little relieved that it's getting there. It's I'd probably say as in the build, I'm probably a good 85%, if not 90%, done with that. Beyond that, though, I'm still going to have to go over some things. I wanted to do some updates to some of the texturing on the hull in places. I figured out some newer texturing methods on the interior, and I'll probably move that to some of the exterior as well, like some of these jittery lines and stuff like that. I can do things to make that look a little better. So I kind of wanted to do like a good hull touch-up. And then I've got to deal with light sensors. I do have some in place already, but I need to do a lot more. And then oxygen. And then balance the CPU numbers, see what I can have this come stock with, and what will be left out stock. So it's getting there. The end's in sight finally. It's if I get a couple good jam sessions and finish up these remaining rooms in here, I'll be well on my way to get this thing actually eventually done here into the workshop. And it's been a long time. It's really been taking a lot longer than I thought. And to be honest, I mean, I'm excited, but I am quite burned out on working out this creation right now too. So it's sheer will to keep on forcing myself to work on it. But it's close. I don't want this to turn into a big delay like the Leviathan or anything like that. So I just want to finish it until it's complete, and it's close. It's close. So hopefully, ideally speaking, if I got this out, not this weekend, but the following weekend to the workshop, I'd be pretty happy with that. But I do not want to guarantee that because I just don't. I might miss it, knowing how long this has taken so far, and I got quite a few tasks left to do on it yet. So beyond that, I just want to talk real briefly about the challenge this month, the Anvil Community Challenge, to build a kind of SV that is kind of intended to be your home for at least a period of time in the game, probably earlier on in the game. And I was thinking about some ideas on that. It sounds like a fun build, and I do want to kind of get into that here at some point. Of course, I want to get that done before I really start something else. The only thing is, I think I'm going to just have to rule that challenge build out as probably more of a vanity project. I was kind of like looking at some numbers and trying to think of what would I want, a ship of that nature to be able to do, and what is it going to cost, and stuff like that. It's like unfortunately the game numbers don't work out very well for that kind of thing. So that's why I'm saying it's probably going to be more of a vanity project. I'll try to make something, give it some kind of function, um, and try to make it neat and pretty, and hopefully feel, uh, I don't know, sort of immersive. But it's hard to say. And why I'm coming with that is I spawned in 3 different creations here just to look at their costs and numbers and what they actually can accomplish in game. And so to start with, I took one of the largest SV I've made to date, the Merc Renegade TT, or Troop Transport. And this one I was trying to do some of that same functionality with the challenge, of course, but I was mostly focused around its appearance, I suppose. That's why it doesn't have a big landing pad on the top of it, which would have been more useful. But I wanted to, make it prettier. And but like this one here, I'm looking at the numbers on it and what it costs. Now this thing is built with steel and it's got a carbon substrate interior. It doesn't have much in guns or anything like that. Very little. And it's 5 hour and 53-minute build time. Its storage, it has two 32K storage bays and one 5K storage bay. Then it has some other convenience items. It has a constructor and a fridge and a trauma station, armor locker, that kind of thing. But that's really about it. And it costs, and it takes 5 hours and 53 minutes in game time to build this. So not exactly a good bang for the buck. And then I was kind of comparing that to a couple different CVs, and one is the older Wayfarer ST. This one here has a 320K storage bay, has 32 grow plots in it, I believe. Pretty good size hangar, place for repair bay, place for a full-size shield, plus another 15K ammo storage, bunch of boxes, just everything. It's a starter CV, so it does the starter CV stuff. And then I look at the price, 4 hours and 40 minutes. It's cheaper. It's cheaper than the Merc Renegade. Now the Merc Renegade is size class 4, about 3.5. This one's about 1.5. But still, this is cheaper than what that is, and it does so much more for gameplay than what that Renegade would do. Another side effect with SBs is they can't do like the advanced constructor stuff. So I'm not even sure. You'd almost have to build a base and advanced constructors before even building that SV that you would want to live out of. And it would be expensive, and you couldn't really haul around much with you. I mean, you could build an SV to have more storage for sure than what the Renegade does, but I mean, even at that, the amount of thrust power and everything that it takes to even move what it's got, which isn't a lot, is fairly excessive, and the price is quite excessive as well. And then I was looking at another CV that I did. Now, this is probably the smallest CV I've made, I think. And this was just a little storage one. But this has two 320K storage bays in it, and a couple other utility things in here, but not too much. But I mean, look at the price on this thing. It's 2 hour and 31-minute build time, and look at the thrust power on this thing. I mean, it can actually, move this 640K storage down to like high gravity planets and stuff, where the Renegade also can't do that, even despite its pretty big thrust loadout on it. So that's if you guys got any ideas, for this kind of thing, let me know. Right now, I'm thinking I'm almost steering towards doing something just for fun, and to build something that I only built one of before. That's more of a luxury kind of craft, because I really don't know of what kind of function I can give it. It's if I was looking at SVs for function, I could think of if you had a starter SV that was great for exploring and shooting up some wildlife and early game stuff, maybe that kind of thing. That's great. That's a great use for an SV. SV miners, great use for an SV. Combat SVs, not bad. Not a bad use for SVs, I suppose. You could make a pretty decent combat SV. It's going to be expensive though, and probably if you make it worthwhile enough to even come close to competing to a CV, it would probably certainly have to have some more CPU in it than your Core 9 setup. Otherwise, well, maybe not. I don't know. Hard to say on that one. But at the end of the day, I can't think of any good like gameplay purpose for this particular SV build. So that's why I'm kind of like steering. Okay, let's make something pretty and call it a day and not stress about it. Unless you guys got anything to add to this, this is just what I'm coming out with right now. It's just like I don't know what to do with it. The only kind of SVs I could think that could be kind of practical would be like a flatbed, and I don't really want to build it. You know, it's like I could, you know, like a SV with this great big wide landing pad across the top of its roof and some thrusters in the corners and stuff like that, so you could at least park something on it. I don't know. It's just a thought. It's just a thought. I'm struggling to come up with anything besides or anything that would really be anything you'd really want to spawn in game, sort of to look at. You know, it's and that's and I don't know if I'm off base on that. The numbers just don't work out good at all, where you just can't do the needed functions on an SV because it just doesn't allow you to. Where you got to go with a CV. And then one last thing I just wanted to throw out there is maybe this would make a difference with SVs in my opinion. But you know, when I was looking at the prices here, this thing, which is physically this size here, which could actually just park right on the back of the Wayfarer, it costs just way too much resources. I mean, it's physically way smaller than the Wayfarer, way less capabilities than the Wayfarer for storage and that kind of thing, but yet it costs more than that. Now, why is that? I don't quite understand why the price ratio on SVs seems to be so high, comparatively speaking, to a at least per block 4 times larger block of a CV. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now I know this CV is a smaller size class than this SV, but physical size is kind of what I'm looking at here, and that is probably 4 or 5 times bigger than what this is in physical size. But it costs less than this does. And to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Maybe if SVs were considerably cheaper in price for the blocks and that kind of thing, and even the parts and the thrusters, I'm not, on the resources that are needed to build them, maybe it would make them a lot more worthwhile because, now, if I could come over here and say, well, hey, I can get this CV in, and it does all this functionality, and it's got this storage, and blah, blah, blah. It's 4 hours and 40 minutes to build. But I can do this thing, and it doesn't have near the functionality of the other creation, but it also costs like a fourth of the price. Like this has an hour, 20-minute build time, and requires way less resources. That would make this a lot more useful in game, in my opinion. But because of its price to do this, it's just like, why would you do this? I mean, why would you not go to some kind of CV? It's probably going to be cheaper and work way better. So maybe that's the big hang up there. Maybe SVs and HVs alike, the general cost for the blocks and parts should be quite a bit lower than what they are now. I know they're cheaper than the equivalent parts of a CV, but not by near enough. They should be a lot cheaper, I think, in my opinion, to make these things more worthwhile in game. Unless you're using, again, SV for a miner, early explorer, or potentially a combat SV. But those combat SV ones, if you make a good one with good shield and good firepower, you ain't gonna do it with you're gonna really struggle to do it with the Core 9 setup, and that is still case in point. If I had X amount of resources to work with and my objective was to destroy that POI, I wouldn't do it with an SV or an HV. I would do it with a CV. And I can't think of any good justifiable reason to not do it with a CV. There's too many CV weapons that can fire on the ground, and they're more powerful. The shields are more powerful. Everything about them is more powerful. Plus, you can use it to move things around. A lot more storage. It's kind of like I'm trying to come up with a way to make an SV like something like anything like this worthwhile in game. And right now, I just can't come up with anything. At least on a larger SV, that's not a minor. So anyway, I just wanted to run that by you. Sorry to get off on a little bit of a tangent there. I think about these things, and it's just like I try to come up with ideas at least on how to fix things. But it's really cool getting some feedback too, because everybody's got different ideas on things, different experiences. I don't play the game a whole lot. I'm sure 99% of my Empyrion time building things. Typically not even in survival. Maybe there's some things I'm overlooking there, but I just thought I'd run that by you. But for a short answer on something that could be modifiable, probably even for the Reforged Eden developers, is maybe the price between SVs, HVs, and CVs should be a lot different, being SVs and HVs are considerably cheaper than what they are currently. I think that's the big hang-up. How many people would, if you had, you could build a reasonably okay combat SV in, I don't know, hour and 20 minutes of, factory time, building it with, X amount of resources to equal that. How many would be more prone to use that? But at that same ship now, a reasonably decent combat SV would probably be at least a 4-hour build time, and cost a bunch of stuff. And if you had a good one, you'd need more CPU, and you'd need auxiliary quantum cores, that kind of stuff. And keep in mind, you're not going to even come close to the storage that you're going to get on a typical run-of-the-mill CV. And that's just another thing. It's just, yeah, I'm probably thinking too much, but I just feel the game has a stat problem here. And I'm just trying to come up with, an easy way to try to make everything worthwhile. And right now, it's kind of like, yeah, you got to have a base because of a furnace and an ATM. And you got to have a CV pretty much for everything else in the game. And the HVs and SVs are, HV, I guess, you tree cutter, you cut the trees. But, yeah, what else do you really need those things for? Besides planetary mining. That's really it. Mine a planet. But, you can mine with a CV as well, just up in space. But there are, in the game, certain resources you can't mine from asteroids that you would have one of these other guys to do. Well, mining and salvaging. So anyway, I'll shut up. Sorry, I went on a tangent there. But anyway, y'all have yourself a great night. I'll have another look at the workshop video tomorrow and see what's out there. I have not actually looked at the workshop, so it'll be all surprises to me. Anyway, y'all have yourself a great night. I'll talk to you later.